Okay, Alexander and Steve, are both of you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in today's session, we will talk about the rectification of error, and let's start with the first of all with the meaning of the sorry, what do you mean by error? So error is what? Error, as we know, that error is any unintentional 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 mistake, unintentional mistake regarding recording of any value into the accounts. Okay, so error can be different type of error can be there. So the thing is that error is something, error is a kind of mistake that has been done unintentionally. Okay, now the thing is, so what do you mean by the term rectification of error? So what is actually rectification? What is rectification of error? So rectification of error, you can say, is the rectification of error are basically procedures or a process through which error can be corrected. Procedure through which accounting errors are rectified, errors are corrected, are known as rectification of error. Okay, now the question arises, sir, why there is a need to rectify the error? Why there is a need to rectify? What is the objective or the purpose behind rectifying the error? Why should we rectify the accounting error? So answer is pretty simple. If we don't rectify the error, what will happen? When you prepare the accounts, accounting records won't be giving you the that the thing is that if you have committed some error while recording any value or any accounting transaction, you won't be able to prepare the correct accounts for this is why we need to rectify the account. So if you want to prepare a correct accounts, correct books of account, then you should rectify the errors also. So unless and until errors are rectified, errors are corrected, the books of account that you are preparing won't give you the correct information about the business. Okay, and also if you want to ascertain the correct profit or loss of the business, in order to ascertain the correct profit and loss of business, for that purpose also we need to rectify the errors, right? And if we don't rectify the errors in a timely manner, we won't be able to understand, or we won't be able to have the idea about the financial status and position of the business. Financial position of business. Okay, where our business actually stand at a particular point of time. So error needs to be rectified so that we can prepare the correct books of account. Correct accounts could be prepared, and errors should also be rectified so that a business can determine the correct profit and loss, and also business will be able to uh, understand the financial position of the business in a proper manner if the if the errors are rectified. Okay, so is there any doubt till this point, Alexander?
No, sir.
So meaning of error and rectification and purpose is clear. Now while we discuss this chapter, you will notice that there are different types of error that can be classified as. Let me tell you, there are different types of error. Classification of error. So what are the different types of errors? Error can be there can be error of commission. Error of commission can be there. Error of commission. So what do you mean by error of commission? So error of commission actually means that when you commit mistake, when you commit mistake due to wrong posting of transaction, or you have committed mistake while totaling the value of our account or wrong balancing, this kind of mistake is called error of commission. So let's suppose when you were totaling the balance of an account, so at the time of balancing the value of the account, you have committed some mistake. Let's say, for example, instead of writing 500, you have by mistake you written it as the 5000. So balancing figure has been taken as 5000 instead of 500. So that is what the error of commission is. So error of commission actually means error committed due to wrong posting of transaction, wrong totaling, or the wrong balancing of the account. So all the such kind of errors are known as the error of commission. And based on the different type of mistake, error of commission can also be classified into various categories. So we have further divided the error of commission into various categories, like it could be error of recording. Error of recording basically means that at the time of recording, you have recorded the incorrect value. So as I was just giving you an example, that instead of recording, let's say for example, instead of recording 2000, you have recorded 20,000. So that is error of commission, that will fall under the category of error of recording. And similarly, error of casting could be there. Error of casting. Error of, sir, what is error of casting? Error of casting means you have committed mistake while totaling the debit or the credit side of the account. So if you have committed mistake while totaling the debit or credit side of the account, that is called error of casting. And similarly, error of carrying could be there. Error of carrying. And similarly, there could be error of posting as well. So there are 4 categories of error of commission: error of recording, error of casting, carrying, and posting. We will be looking at all these different type of error in the upcoming sessions. But now, for now, just keep this in mind that while doing the classification of error, the first category is error of commission. And error of commission has been further categorized into 4 different parts: recording error, casting error, carrying error, and the posting error. Similarly, we have the error called the error of omission. Error of omission. So error, what do you mean by error of omission? So error of omission actually means that you have you somehow forgot to write the value of a particular transaction into the books of account. You forgot to enter the transaction in the books of account. Enter a particular transaction in books of account. So when you forgot to enter a particular transaction in the books of account, that is called error of omission. Now, error of omission can also be broadly categorized into 2 parts. That error can be a partial error, partial omission, and there is a possibility that there is a complete omission. Complete omission. Okay. So, for example, if you have bought goods on credit from some person, so the general entry for this will be, what is the general entry for this? Purchase of goods account debit to the creditor, right? Let's say, for example, purchase of goods of rupees 5,000 to Ramesh. This will be the general entry for the goods purchased on credit. But what you have done, you have recorded this value into the purchase account, but you forgot to write this value into the Ramesh account. So this is called the error of omission. Since you have recorded the one aspect of the transaction, but you forgot to record the other aspect of the transaction. You have recorded the debit aspect of the transaction with the purchase account, but you forgot to record the credit aspect of the transaction into the Ramesh account. So this is a clear case of omission, but it is not a complete omission. You are recording a particular aspect of a transaction and forgetting to record the other aspect of the transaction. This is called partial error of omission. And if by chance you forgot to record both the aspect, the debit and the credit aspect of the transaction, you do not record any of the aspect of the transaction, then in that case it will be called the complete omission. Tell me, is this clear to you, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other than this, we have the error of principle as well. So what is actually error of principle? Error of principle means that you have recorded a transaction. Let's say, for example, some kind of transaction have taken place in a business. Transaction taken place, and what you have done, you have also recorded this transaction. Recorded the transaction, but while recording the transaction, you have you have done the contravention of the rules of the account. Contravention of accounting rule, accounting principles. So there are various principles in accounts, going concern principle, and we have the matching principle, accrual basis, accrual principle, and there are various other principles as well. So while recording the transaction, if you have committed some contravention regarding the accounting principles, like for example, instead of debiting a particular transaction, you have by mistake credited the transaction. So you are here doing the contravention and following the accounting rules. So if mistake has been regarding the rules of the accounts or the principle of the account, then it will be called the error of principle. Okay, is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So error of principle, you can say transaction which are recorded in contravention of the accounting principle are the error of principle. And an error of principle may also occur due to the incorrect classification of expenditure and receipt. For example, as I'm sure that you are already aware that we have two types of expenditure in the accounts. We categorize it as the capital expenditure and the revenue expenditure, right? Capital and the revenue expenditure. So all the expenditure regarding the operation of a business, so all the operating related expenses are called the revenue expenditure, and all the expenses that are related with the purchase of the fixed asset or the construction or the improvement of asset are known as the capital expenditure. So let's, for example, you have bought a machine of 5,000, right? 50,000, for example, and for bringing it to the factory, you have incurred you have paid some expenses, you have made some expenses, you have incurred some expenses for bringing this machine into the factory and getting it installed finally. So in order to bring it to the factory and get it installed in the factory, you have additionally incurred 10,000. So as I have already told you while discussing the final account, that the purchase price, the cost price of the machine will be the capital expenditure, since it is related to the fixed asset. And similarly, any expenses incurred for bringing the asset to the factory and getting it ready for the use into the business, all such expenses will also be considered as the part of the machine. It will be considered as the cost of the machine. So, but what you have done, you have recorded this 50,000 into the machine account. You have debited machine account by, let's suppose you have debited machine account by 50,000, but this 10,000 has been debited to the profit and loss account. But instead it should have been debited with the machine account, because expenses incurred for bringing the machine into the factory is part of the cost of machine. But instead of treating it as a part of machine, you are treating it as a operating expense. Therefore you are debiting the expense into the profit and loss account. So so the mistake that you are committing here is about the principle. It is the mistake of principle, error of principle. Why it is error of principle? Because you are violating the accounting rule. The accounting rule says that all the expenses incurred for buying the asset and for bringing the asset into the factory, or to make it ready for use in the business, all will be considered as the part of the cost of the asset. But instead of treating this expense as a part of asset, you are treating it as an operating expense and debiting the profit and loss account. So this will be the violation of the accounting principle, and this kind of mistake will be called the error of principle. Is this clear to you, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
All right. So these are the three types of error we have, and apart from this, we have one more error, which is called the compensating error. Compensating error, as the name suggests, that compensating error. So such kind of error that compensate the other mistake. If one mistake is compensating the other mistake, then it will be called the compensating error. So when two or more errors are committed in such a way that the net effect of these error on the debit and credit account as will be nil, right? So any error, if let's suppose compensating error is always used when two errors have been committed, and the net effect of those two errors is such that they are automatically correcting, you can say, how can I define it? One error is compensating the other error. That means the net effect of the error will be, you can say, the zero. Let me give you an example. For example, we have sold goods to Ramesh on credit. All right, and we have also purchased goods from Ramesh on credit, right? So when you sell goods to Ramesh on credit, the general entry will be Ramesh account debit, right? Ramesh account should be debited. And when you buy goods from Ramesh on credit, the general entry for this will be purchase account debit to Ramesh. So that means this time Ramesh account should be credited. This is the correct general entry. If you record the transaction in a proper manner, then you must have debited the Ramesh account at the time of sale of goods, and at the time of purchase you must have credited his account. But what you have done actually, instead of debiting Ramesh account at the time of sale of good, you have by mistake credited his account, number one. So that is an error, obviously. And when at the time of purchase his account should be credited, but what you have done, you have debited his account by mistake, right? So ultimately this should be debited and this should be credited. But if both these mistakes have been committed, that means one mistake is nullifying the effect of the first mistake, right? So ultimately, the net effect of this error will be nil. It will be zero. It won't affect the trial balance at all. Getting this? So this will be called the compensating error. Is this clear to you, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have these are the different types of error we have. So let me tell you the entire thing one more time. So as we have covered, the purpose of error, rectification of error is clear to you, that error should be rectified so that correct books of account can be prepared, correct profit and loss can be ascertained, and the financial status and position of the business can be determined in a timely manner. Then we can classify the errors as the error of commission. Commission can be further classified as the error of recording, casting, carrying, and posting. And after that, we have the error of omission, where we forgot to record a particular transaction either partially or completely. Then we have the error of principle, where we commit the mistake uh, at the time of recording a transaction with respect to the accounting rules and principles. And similarly, we have the compensating error. So I hope everything is clear till this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. After that, we will have to cover the process of rectification. So that I have already told you while I was teaching you for your unit test. So process of rectification is pretty simple. What do we do? First, process of rectification is pretty simple. Number one, first of all, we pass the wrong entry. Then we will be passing the correct entry for a particular transaction, what should have been done, what is done, what should have been done, and what should be the rectifying general entry. So this is how we generally rectify a particular transaction. But in examination, you only required to write down the rectifying entry. You are not required to write down the wrong transaction and the correct transaction and then pass the rectification entry. You can simply directly pass the rectification entry if you can. But I would still recommend that you should pass the wrong and the correct entry separately in a work. You can say there are in the rough work and pass the rectifying entry in the main working area. Okay. So
Okay.
let's discuss all these things on the PowerPoint as well once. So starting with the meaning of error, as I told you, errors are unintentional mistake, unintentional omission or commission of the amount and account in the process of recording transaction. So while recording transaction, if you are committing any mistake unintentionally, which could be regarding the omission or commission, it will be treated as the error. And error, what is rectification of error? Rectification of error is the procedure or the process of rectifying, correcting the mistake that has already been committed, so that the books of account can reflect the actual position and the actual profit of the entity. Now we have the few objective and the purpose of rectification. So for the preparation of correct accounting records, this is one of the purpose. Then for ascertainment of the correct net profit, and also we rectify the transaction so as to exhibit the true financial position of an organization by preparing the balance sheet with the correct data. Then I have classified the errors into 4 categories: error of commission, error of omission, error of principle, and we have the error of compensating errors. Error of commission, these are the error which are committed due to wrong position posting. This is posting, not positing. Posting of transaction, wrong totaling, wrong balancing of the accounts, wrong casting of the subsidiary book. All right, and these kind of mistake affect the trial balance as well. The preparation of trial balance get affected due to the error of commission. And error of commission can be further classified as a recording, casting, carrying, and posting error. Now, what is error of omission? Though this kind of error arises with a transaction when a transaction is partially completed or omitted to be recorded in the books of account. There can be 2 type of omission: error of complete omission, error of partial omission. Then error of principle, we have transaction recorded in the contravention of the accounting principles are known as error of principle. That means while recording the transaction, when you have violated the accounting rule and principle, it will be called error of principle. And error of principle may occur due to incorrect classification of the expenditure or receipt between the capital and the revenue, as it may lead to under or overstating of income or asset or liability. This error does not affect the trial balance, as amounts are placed on the correct side but in the wrong account. All right. Now, what is compensating error? Like while discussing about the principal error, I have given you an example of capital and the revenue expenditure, right? So as per the principle, all the expenses should be all the expenses for bringing the asset to the factory and getting it installed for the use for the business, all will be part of the asset account. So it should be debited. So what you have done, you have debited the that expense, but not in the asset account. Instead, you have debited the wrong account. You have debited the profit and loss account instead of the machine account or the asset account. So what you are doing, you are debiting the transaction. So there is no mistake in the debit and credit. The only thing is that instead of debiting the machine account, you are debiting the profit and loss account. So therefore, it is called the error of principle. You are not following the rule of the accounting. And then we have the error of compensating, when two or more errors are committed in such a way that the net effect of these errors on the debit and credit of the account is nil or nullified. Such errors are called compensating errors. These errors do not affect the tailing of the trial balance. Okay, is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
And then we have the process of the rectification. So I hope everything that we have discussed in today's session is clear to both of you, Alexander and Steve. So I guess this is it. This much we will be discussing in today's session. We from this point onward, we will discuss in the next class. We will do question based on rectification. It will probably take 2 sessions to finish this entire chapter, including the question based on the suspense account as well. So this is it, Alexander. If you have any question, Steve, if you have any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will end this session now. You want to ask
Sir,
anything?
no doubt.
No doubt. All right, Alexander. We'll see you, inshallah. We'll arrange a class tomorrow. And whatever the scenario will be, I'll inform you. My team will get in touch with you. Okay.
Yes, sir, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.